I was so much disturbed and I couldn't exactly fathom the reason why the National Security Advisor in the person of Nuhu Rubado was so much excited that the two most wanted leaders of Al-Qaeda group in Nigeria has been on international watch list. Now the question they are trying to evade is this: why did they find Nigeria as a refuge or as a safe haven in the first instance? Why did Al Qaeda, sponsored by Iran, terror cells sponsored by Iran, found Nigeria as a base, as a safe haven for their base? Now, according to the report released by the National Security Advisor in the person of Malam Nuhu Rubado, he said that these two people or leaders has been on the watch list of the most wanted terror cells internationally. Now the question is, how did they eventually beat the Nigerian security intelligence without being discovered at the point of entry? Could that confirm the state of vulnerability of the Nigerian state? Now, if these two people were in the international watch list, they have been hunted for, or they have declared wanted, for how long? For how many years now? Now, how suddenly they were found within the defined territory in Nigeria and certainly has been operating for God knows how long without being detected. Should it be, or should that have called for excitement and celebration rather than reflecting on the state of vulnerability of the nation's security architecture? Now, what extent of damage has been done by these two terrorist leaders? Of course, they are in Nigeria for an assignment. Could we consider the assignment as mission accomplished? That is one of the important things we must discuss. These are one of the major important questions that they are running away from. We've heard in most recent months that the Mahmuda terror cells are in operation in Nigeria. That is a new terror cells recruited across Kwara and across other parts of the north, unleashing mayhem. Now, do you think that the arrest of these two leaders could hamper the operations of these terror cells or terror groups? As it's been reported that Nigeria has over 8 terrorist groups established within the defined territory. Now, when we make reference to history, we understand that even the leader of Boko Haram was once nabbed and eventually was killed after being summoned for a meeting, I think, by the then Olusegun Obasanjo. Eventually, he was killed. And they thought that by killing him, eventually the Boko Haram will collapse. But here we are today, that more terror cells has been established, has been consolidated within the Nigerian state. And the same Boko Haram have spinster groups unleashing mayhem across the regions of this country. The arrest of these two terrorist cell group leaders should be a thing of concern. It should be a thing of worry and not something you celebrate about. Now, the question to ask is this: how many times have they replicated themselves? Yes. If definitely they have recruited other terror cells groups, indoctrinated them, and the rest of them, which means they have been able to replicate themselves not in 1,000 multiple folds, if not tens of thousands. We've heard that one of the terror cells or group were paying as much as 1 million to recruit young ones in their group. So, which means they are highly funded. They are highly funded terror network. So, as seeing this personality, you understood that they are not Nigerians. So, how were they able to beat the security? Could it be said that the Nigerian security is porous at the borders? Well, that shouldn't be a far cry because we've seen cases of infiltrations and the rest of them. How do these people come in? Or is it based on the visa on arrival being extended to all the Fulanis and across the Sahel regions during the Buhari's time that is still, of course, playing out today? So there are more deeper issues to be discussed. Certainly, they might provide other details that might not be, of course, before the public domain. But in addition to that, I think the National Security Advisor should be more concerned about the state of the nation as it borders on security. What was the point of entry? Why were they not tracked at the point of entry? So where is the place of documentation? How many number of people comes in and goes out? That is a clear indication that there is no documentation as far as Nigeria is concerned. Did they move through the air and they were not intercepted? The identity was not disclosed? Or is it through the land borders or through the sea, the Lake Chad Basin and the rest of them? That is quite very disturbing development. Well, we are not surprised because we've seen the escalation of insecurity and this springing up of other terror cells across the regions of most recent, even after Buhari have left office. But the damage done is irreparable. The damage, in fact, the leverage on that window of opportunity provided by Buhari's administration to infiltrate the entire nook and crannies of this country, occupy different forest beds across the south, the west, the north, and the east. So the arrest of these two leaders of this world-acclaimed terrorist group in mission, they have a mission in this country. And for me, As long as they have been in this country for some good number of years and have been able to establish their own terror cells across different states. What does that mean? I've been able to recruit their militias, those who believe in the same, who share the same ideology. Now, there is something fundamentally wrong because these are just two personalities. Other people, they have been able to replicate themselves in the lives of other younger ones, radicalized, possibly more dangerous and more sophisticated than them. That could be considered as mission accomplished. And there is no way the arrest of these two leaders could destroy the mission in motion. Yeah, because we've seen the activities of this Mahmouda and the rest of them of most recent wreaking havoc across the north central, the north, and infiltrating through into the southern forest beds, unleashing mayhem. We've seen the new terror cells or splinter groups launching assaults on military base. We have the Islamic State of West African province, we have the Boko Haram, we have the Al-Qaeda link group, we have the Mahmouda, so many of them, countless. ISIS affiliates and the rest of them. I mean, they are all fully represented in Nigeria. That should be the source of worry, and not just the arrest of two leaders of a particular terror cell. We have the ISIS, we have the Al-Qaeda. I mean, if care is not taken, even the Hamas affiliate group would also be here. So the first question to ask, to get down to the root, is how did they come here without being tracked at the point of entry? And definitely, they may have expended their entire life, accomplished their mission here. So it doesn't matter if they have been taken. They are not even perturbed. They are not bothered because they feel some sense of fulfillment that the mission accomplished, and they have foot soldiers who will continue to front the same agenda because the seed has been sown and the monster is germinating. Now the question is, possibly they may have moved along with other terror cells groups that are more deadlier than them, but are not being detected. Yeah, that is why the like of Sheikh Gumi, an Islamic cleric with affirmation, strong affirmation, said that the Boko Haram cannot be defeated, not in 2 decades to come. Possibly, he may have some intels or informations to disclose about their operation and, of course, their missions. Because telling Nigerians that these people cannot be defeated in a matter of 2 decades, then there's something fundamentally wrong. The same Islamic cleric is now warning Tinubu, giving Tinubu a staunch warning that Tinubu should not involve Mossad against the North over the alleged uh, killing of the Islamic leaders in Nigeria. Did you get it? Upon the arrest of these two terror leaders, you have to raise this concern. There is an alleged movement by Mossad of Israel to track down these Islamic leaders. That is what it called them in Nigeria. So who are these Islamic leaders in question? And of what interest do Mossad have in Nigeria? Would they just attack innocent people who have not been tracked or linked to these terror cells, international terror groups? You see, this early warning to Tinubu has more weightier matters behind the scene. Warning Tinubu they should not allow Mossad to operate in Nigeria, that there is an alleged plan to buy some Islamic leaders in Nigeria. How possible could that be? How possible could that be unless he has some intels that possibly some leaders of these terror groups who escaped by any means possible and eventually find themselves within Nigeria, and the Mossad has eventually been able to track them. The location to Nigeria, definitely they might be coming if that is the case. But otherwise, why should the like of Sheikh Gumi be raising early alarm and linking Israel to such activities? You know, of recent, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of State of Foreign Affairs in the person of Bianca Ojukwu, met with her counterparts from Israel, and they discussed bilateral relationship, bordering on security, intelligence sharing, and the rest of them. The Muslims were the first people to raise alarm. These are people who have not condemned the dastard killings across the entire regions of this country, the versions of community, the burning down, the killing of innocent children, and the rest of them. They have not for once raised concern or criticized such dastard acts. But they were the first to raise concern over the bilateral relationship or some cooperation, intelligence or security cooperation between Israel and Nigeria that was reached possibly or under discussion by the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and the Israeli counterparts. They raised alarm. You see, from that point, they have been berating, criticizing Bianca Ojukwu for her involvement in that dastard act, what they consider as emboldening their perceived enemies, as they consider Israel to be a nation of terrorists, infidels that needed to be dealt away with. Now, that brings us to the main important issue. Who are those behind the state of insecurity in Nigeria? Just as when Jonathan mustered courage and wanted to fight the Boko Haram, they raised the same alarm that is using Ihe to annihilate the northern youth or reduce the population of the northern youth. Everybody was shouting, including both the clerics, the Islamic leaders, political elites within the north. They were raising, they were fighting against Jonathan. Yet, they have not been able to address the same population among them who, in the name of propagating Islam, are unleashing terror on several communities. One of them unequivocally stated that attack on Boko Haram is an attack on Allah. And Allah will not be happy with anyone fighting the Boko Haram, which means directly, majority of them are sponsors of this criminality going on. They consider it as jihad or propagation of the gospel of Allah or whatever that means. But would that come with its attendant criminality, invasions, and the rest of them? So why is the North paying lip service to the state of security of the northern people? And they are now importing the same insecurity from the North down to other regions of this country. The West, the South, and the rest of them, the East. If they are not interested in fighting security or the state of insecurity or finding a lasting solution to that, I think if that makes them comfortable, definitely let Nigeria part ways so that they will enjoy their own region and every other region will define their own political future and affiliation, rather than be stuck in the wheel of motionless and despair. While where a particular region are against the fight or the climb down to insecurity, possibly they may be benefiting from that, the escalations of this insecurity and the rest of it. Still the one asking Tinubu to find solution to the state of insecurity. Now, Tinubu is making a step to provide solution. You are now raising alarm, warning him, daring him, and the rest of them. You ask him to find solution. And if he considers that as the only alternative to ending the state of insecurity, why do you feel that your interest is being jeopardized? What is that particular interest you have that you would want to oppose the current move by this administration to contain or to curtail the excesses of these terror spinster groups? An ordinary Southerner perceived that to be terror cells. They did not understand definitely that these are their foot soldiers or jihadists. Well, let's have your own take via the comment section. Don't forget to let us know what you feel regarding this development. It's very disturbing one, but should be of national concern to everyone. Thanks for watching.